And we'll let everybody come on in, starting just a few minutes late, but that's all right. You're on our time, MHI time.
MHI time. It's like Tulsa time, but better.
That's right. Every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain. You know the guy to my, what would that be? To my left, to your right? Depends on how you're looking at it. What's up, Broncos country? Away we go. It's Wednesday night. It's time for another MHI, a very special MHI that I might add. Tom, I have a confession to make. I have never, and I repeat this, I have never covered Broncos playoff football. I got into this writing, this podcasting thing right after Super Bowl 50 in 2015. We're in uncharted waters here on MHI and really in Mile High Huddle. I mean, it's been a long time. I think there were only two guys from the original staff, two or three guys. Last time the Broncos were in the NFL postseason. Here we are. Thomas Hall, how we doing?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's funny because I actually covered the Broncos with this outfit called iSports Web. I don't think they even exist anymore. Back, I started writing for them like in 2013 or 14, something like that. And so, yeah, but I've never podcasted. So I'm excited to talk playoff football finally for the Broncos with all these folks in Broncos country.
Yeah, you know, Tom's got a busted up hand. I haven't been feeling too good. Nothing could keep us from these airwaves today. We were fighting tooth and nail to get to you guys here on MHI. And you catch us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. He is Thomas Hall. I am Luke Patterson. And C. Chang is topping us off here. Let's go Broncos. Go Bo. Tom, I was really nervous last week. As I'm sure a lot of folks could remember on this show. I said, do not take the Kansas City Chiefs lightly. Well, they didn't. The Broncos beat them 38-0. Bo Nix picks up another award. We'll talk about that and more. But before we do, let's say what's up to David Yonkin with a very generous 1999 Wildcard NFL playoff super chat to kick off the show. Why is everyone doubting the Broncos going up against the Bills? We won last season at Buffalo with a lot less talent and a weaker quarterback. Now we have a better defense and offensive line and a better quarterback. Broncos win. Wow,
Love
Tom, it. David's got me goosebumps right now. Broncos win in Buffalo, a huge, generous super. Do you smell what David's cooking?
You know, they're a formidable opponent. I mean, I'm not going to be out there, saying that this is going to be an easy win, but the Broncos do have what I would call an elixir to kind of beat that offense, and that is their pass rush. And I have an article coming out that I dug into the stats. Check it out. If the Broncos can get to Josh Allen, they're going to be able to hold them to field goals, and that's what the Broncos need to get that win in Buffalo. Now, I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying that that's what they got going for them. That's one thing of two that they have going for them. So I don't doubt them. They're kind of a storybook team right now, and you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
No, you never know. And that's why the playoffs are so exciting, right? David, I'm sure you remember the Baltimore Ravens coming in here as a wild card team, absolutely crushing the Broncos postseason hopes. Some guy named Jacoby Ford, I'll never forget that name, over Raheem the Dream Moore. I mean, anything is possible in the playoffs. This league is truly the league of parity. It's what makes it so damn exciting. And that's why we're talking Broncos football with you here on MHI Wednesday night. David Papa Bear coming in here. David, who thought we would be here, man? Not me.
David did.
David did.
You called
David's been in there, man. I love it. Thank you so much for the support, David. Happy New Year. Good evening, Broncos country. 10-7, baby. Playoff bound. Let's go 1-0. Let's go, Bo. Knicks for 6 and SEAL Team Knicks. David, I don't know if you saw, but your guy Bo Nix, man, he played some lights out football, albeit against the Chiefs B squad. I hear you. But Bo Nix performance, 26 for 29, 321 passing yards, 4 tutties, and 47 rushes on 7 carries, earned Bo Nix his second AFC Offensive Player of the Week award. You can read about it over at milehighhuddle.com. He is the first Bronco since Peyton Manning to win this award multiple times. And the NFL records, the individual awards, Bo just keeps stacking them up. Does Bo Nix have enough momentum going into Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously clicking on all cylinders all of a sudden. I mean, obviously, like you said, it was the B team. And for the record, I did not think that the Broncos were going to lose on Sunday. I only did that to try and win the Mile High Huddle roundtable. I figured they'd win, just for the record, so everybody knows.
We keep receipts on this show, Tom. I don't know. I'm very petty. I like to keep receipts, as does Broncos country.
I texted you right after. I said, just so you know, I don't think they're going to lose. I'm just going for the win.
Read the fine print. And that's what's so damn fun about this NFL, this football thing. And I love guys coming out saying, I knew it all along. David knew it all along. You can't take anything away from Papa Bear there. I had the Broncos going 9-8 at the beginning of the season, and I thought that was very optimistic, okay? And I was wrong. I'm not saying, I was just one game away. No, I was wrong too. There's no way that I saw this Broncos squad doing as well as they have with Bo Nix, with Sean Payton. Scott and I used to text weeks earlier when the Falcons were hot, and we're like, man, this could be a hot playoff team. And then you see how fast things change in the league. It's all right to change your opinion. It's all right to adapt to the times. That's what we do here on Wednesday night. But what Bo Nix did against the Chiefs B squad, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. They took care of business. They did it in those 77 unis. And why we just can't make those the permanent threads, I don't know. Somebody tweet at Damani Leach, at Greg Penner, whatever we got to do. We need to make that powder blue helmet and those orange crust 77 threads the main event. Shiloh Heesh coming in here with a very generous $5. What's up, Shiloh? Thank you for all the support. Luke, I am apologizing for my 3-1 prediction for the last 4 games, but I was feeling hot about this team. Glad we're in the death. Ain't nothing to apologize for, Shiloh. You hop on the bandwagon, baby. There are more seats for everybody. I hear you, man. That's why I was so damn nervous last week, Tom. I mean, forgive me, but the Broncos, sometimes you don't know which team is going to show up. I think that's what makes them intriguing. I think that's what makes them dangerous. And you talk about the magic elixir, and that's going to be published here either tonight or tomorrow morning, your latest article on how to bring Josh Allen down. I think it's real simple. Sean Payton is a villain, isn't he? The Broncos can be spoilers. Let's lean into that role. All the pressure of this football game, folks, in my opinion, is on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. Your Denver Broncos truly have nothing to lose. They're not supposed to be here. The Cincinnati Bengals have a petition against them, and we can talk about that if y'all want to. I mean, this is a team that shouldn't be in this position. You're not really playing with house money because you lose and you're done. And what Sean Payton's going to probably consider that a little bit of a failure, tongue in cheek, if you will. Man, Buffalo, good luck. Your team is just the pressure's so much for the Bills. It's making me really excited. I think the Broncos and Sean Payton should lean into the villain role. They could play spoiler.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shiloh, you know, the thing of it is, if you look back at those games, that the last 3, they lost to the Bengals in Cincinnati. They didn't play there that well, and they still almost came out with a victory. Same against the Chargers. They weren't playing great, but they were still in those games. So it's not like they just got blown out and then backed into the playoffs. Luckily, they had good opponents who were playing hot at the time, and they lost, but they still didn't get blown out. And then they went in and just completely demolished the Chiefs backups, which they should. And I don't care. I'm getting tired of the crying coming out of Cincinnati, though.
I love it. I can't get enough of it.
I would be ashamed if this was happening. If I was a fan of the team and that was happening right now, I would be like ashamed at this point. But anyway, no need to apologize. I thought for sure they were going to punch their ticket early and still work on their positioning, but that didn't happen. It doesn't matter. They're in it now. And they do. I know that the Bills have played great, but if the Broncos can play well and limit their mistakes, and they have a shot even against Buffalo in the city of good neighbors, as they call it. So I'm not counting them out.
No, you can't count them out. And Scott's weighing in too and saying, look, Cincy had their chance to beat the Chiefs, but they didn't do it. And I mean,
the Patriots, or who else they lost? They lost to a bunch of people, a bunch of teams early. So,
well, nobody feels bad for you in this league. Like the petition thing, that's a fan thing. That's not a franchise thing. And I'm sure we've all seen the social media. Yeah, the social media team putting out there of the guys watching it and in the coach's office watching it. And you know what? Tough. That's life. This is the league, man. And I don't feel bad for the Bengals, not one damn bit, especially after what they did to me in Broncos country a few Saturdays ago. But that's all right, as David's reminding us. Look, man, coach is still coach for the Chiefs. This could be a dangerous game. Yeah, look, it's the league, man. And like Big Al likes to say, let it rip. I'll never forget it. It's the league. Let it rip. And anything can happen in the NFL on any given basis. That's why I think the playoffs are so damn special. It doesn't matter that the Broncos are the number 7 seed. It doesn't matter that the Buffalo Bills are the number 2 seed. All that matters is 1-0 each week. And it sounds like it's going to be cold there on Sunday. I don't know if there's going to be snow or what the weather's going to look like in Buffalo. It's cold here in Denver right now, Tom. I mean, it's
cold here.
Yeah, it's 30. It's cold everywhere. It's 30 degrees, right? So, I think the Broncos are going to be ready for the elements as much as they can be, but this is exciting. This is an exciting time of year. And I just remind everybody, the last time that the Buffalo Bills played a lot of their starters in meaningful reps was week 17 in their blowout win against the Jets. I mean, how many times have we seen teams rest their starters only to come out 2 weeks later and blank the bed? Happens all the time. I mean, the Broncos, I think by me saying I don't know which Broncos team's going to show up, the Bills haven't earned anything to be crowned. They, a couple AFC championship games. Yeah, you made it, but you never got rid of the bully on the hill, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. So am I scared of the Buffalo Bills? No. Do I respect them? Absolutely. Tom, I just got to ask you real quick before we get to Chris. If the Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, how or does it affect Josh Allen's MVP candidacy?
Well, the voting happens before the playoffs, supposedly, and the postseason is not supposed to count. It's only regular season. So I think Lamar Jackson's going to get it, but it doesn't matter because he's great in the regular season and poor in the postseason. He's terrible in the postseason. So that's why
they both are. They both are.
Yeah, they both have been honest. Allen's been better, but all it takes is a few bounces to go the Broncos' way to pull out a victory. So no matter what, if Josh Allen's not on like he usually is in the postseason and the ball bounces the Broncos' way, you never know. It's they can take this thing.
That sounds pretty damn good to me. And Chris Chance is coming in here. Thank you, Chris, for the very generous $5 over on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Aren't the Broncos the hardest defense that the Buffalo Bills have faced this year? The Bills have had one of the easiest schedules. Hashtag best in the business. Hashtag Bo Vader. Chris, I don't know if you saw on X at Luke Patterson LP. I went Darth Nix months and months ago, and I like what you're doing there. Here's the thing, man. It's tough when you get into where does the Broncos defense and offense rank against Buffalo, because strength of schedule, past games, all those sorts of things. Are they indicators of probabilities? Maybe. Can you get certain schemes and tendencies out of the teams? Absolutely. But all I know is that when this Broncos defense continues to reset the franchise record for sacks, right? They did it last Sunday against the Chiefs. 63 sacks this season. Man, that's something to take note of. And I'm sure Josh Allen's ready, and he better be ready to run. He better be ready to move. And Tom, you've got an article coming out, milehighhuddle.com here tonight or tomorrow morning, talking a little bit how to beat Josh. I think this is a very good matchup for the Broncos defense, a true test, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And, the one thing that I will say about this, I don't know if it's going to be the hardest defense they faced. I mean, the Broncos have struggled a little bit on defense towards the end of the season, but I think it may very well be the best pass rush that Josh Allen has faced. He's only been sacked 14 times this year. So it was tough to get to him. He's a hard, he's good at taking off and doing stuff with his legs and whatnot, but I think it's going to be probably the hardest pass rush that he's faced, which is that's a key to me. That is a huge key. It's in the article, the reasons why. But I think Scott just said the number 12 schedule. So not particularly tough, but not particularly easy, right about the middle of the road. So I think that, if the Broncos are on, if they don't kill themselves, they got a shot.
Yeah, and you look at the Bills' schedule, and I hear you. We all like to try to find tendencies, and it's a whole lot of wins when you pull up that Bills' schedule and you start to look at it. And I really don't care about the Patriots last week, right? I mean, it's funny. The Bills kind of did what the Chiefs did and rested most of their starters, except Josh Allen, right? Because that consecutive starting streak matters so damn much to Josh that they let him start. 115 consecutive starts for Josh Allen, and then they eventually pulled him and a bunch of the starters. You look at that last real loss, Sunday, December 8th against the Rams. That was that shootout, that 44-42 shootout, in which Josh Allen had, I think, 5 or 6 touchdowns, something like that. Altogether, it was an impressive performance. But look, this is a beatable team. I think a lot of people in Buffalo right now are wondering what's the future hold for Sean McDermott too, right? I mean, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, they're building new stadiums. They're in the playoffs every year. Can they ever win the big one? That's the conversation that they're having in Buffalo right now, right? How do we get to the AFC Championship? And look at this guy, Ralph Bracegirdle, one of our guys in here. Love our guy, Ralph. My boys, been a slacker on vacation. Turned a Georgia bar into a Broncos bar. We match up well with the Bills. We got this. Playoff football, baby. That's another cool thing, Tom. I started thinking about you, my father-in-law, some of my family and friends scattered throughout the country. Everybody gets a piece of this Broncos game on Sunday. It's Wildcard weekend, baby. Right. Let's go.
Yeah, it's been rough, since I moved to see all the games. I usually will trying to watch them on my phone, or I got to do the replay, but now it's on TV for everyone to see. And I really hope that the Broncos have a good showing. I mean, they may not win this game, but, go out there and compete and just, lay it all out there.
Yeah, well, they got nothing to lose, man. Play spoiler. Go break someone's heart, man. Go, I was trying to show my daughter to Bills Mafia, right? How do you describe Bills Mafia? It's really, they're crazy up there, right? Yeah. Real crazy. I'm telling her, honey, it snows so much up there. They got to bring shovels and undig the stadium. They put each other through tables. They baptize their babies through the little table. I mean, they're crazy up there in Buffalo. They're going to be excited. It's going to be a hostile environment for the Broncos. So I feel you, Ralph, and I love all the energy from Georgia, man. I absolutely love it. What college playoffs are still going on? You got Georgia and Notre Dame, if memory serves. That's coming up here right down the pike. Let me ask you this, folks, and open it up to the chat, and Scott and Tom, you as well. What'd you make of the schedule? Does it make you feel good they're playing on a Sunday instead of a Saturday? Another extra day of prep, if you will, another travel day. Does it matter? Give me your thoughts on that.
I think it matters. I think that the extra day of rest is great. They played late on Sunday. The Bills got to rest their starters for the most part. They played a little, a series or whatever, not very much. So just that extra day of rest is good. Extra day of preparation, I think, is good. The Broncos are pretty dang healthy. So anybody that's a little bit banged up gets that extra day to feel a little bit better. So I'm glad it's on Sunday, not Saturday.
Yeah, me too. When you look at the Broncos injury report, there's not a whole lot of injuries on there, right? I mean, Nate Atkins was listed with an abdomen, Tyler Bidet with a back. They both practice in full. No big deal. Damari Mathis, your corner, he's listed with a back. He was limited. Ben Powers, non-injury related rest day. He was limited. And Frank Crum, right? Broncos third string offensive tackle, if you will. He's got an illness. He did not practice. Then you turn it over to the Buffalo Bills. And there's a lot of names on that list. Only 2 guys didn't practice. Few starters, several starters mixed into that list. Tom, you've been on this since August, September. The Broncos have had good fortune, but they've been very healthy, among one of the healthier teams in the league. What's the secret?
Well, I keep saying it's still, Bo Lowry had to be one of the best decisions that single decisions that Sean Payton made bringing him in. I feel like I said that a long time ago. They've been healthy. And I keep saying that's the great equalizer in the NFL is health. But the Bills are, they have a long injury list, but they don't have a lot of players on their IR. So they're relatively healthy too. So it's not going to be that much of an advantage for the Broncos to be healthy. And the Bills to be extremely unhealthy. So they're going to have to win this more straight up than just, taking advantage of the depth that the Bills would be rolling out if they were injured.
Completely agree. And our guy, William James Baker over on Facebook, guys, it's your guy calling from London. I'm in Sydney now. What a season of highs and lows. Tough test coming up. I think we can say we've had a great season. Well done to our guys getting to this stage. Whatever happens, happens. Let's go Broncos, beat the Bills. Appreciate you, William. Thank you so much for the support. Trim her down just a little bit so I could fit it all on the screen next time, brother, and I will for sure get you back. Really, really appreciate you, Will. Broncos
great season. He's right. It was no matter what happens on Sunday, this was a great season for the Broncos. 100%. They went into this year with a young roster, inexperienced rookie quarterback, historically bad dead cap hit, and they went to the playoffs. To me, that is a great season because I thought they were going to be under 500. So I was wrong. And no matter how it goes, it's still a great season.
Yeah, specifically, you thought the Broncos would go 7-10. Scott and Nick went with the 6-11. Man, I get so high off the Broncos coming off training camp. I always get too damn optimistic. I'm like, they're going to go 9-8, and that's going to be great. I did not see this coming, man. I thought 9-8 was being pie in the sky. I was right there in the trenches with you guys. I mean, who thought after the Broncos started 0-2 to start this season? And how about Russell Wilson, folks, and what's going on in Pittsburgh? You knew I was going to bring that name out. What do you think, man? Russ going to get the start for the Steelers against the Ravens, or could Mike Tomlin just flip everything on his head and go Justin Fields?
I doubt it. I'm sure Russ is getting the start.
Why?
Why? I don't know why they would switch it. I mean, he's been playing terrible, but I don't know. I really don't care. I mean, he's no longer wearing the orange and blue. So, if he wants to go struggle somewhere else, happy for him. Go do it.
Well, and it's funny. The reason I bring up Russ is 1, to make fun of him, 2, to say that we were right here in Broncos country, right? But no, seriously, 3, when you look at the Broncos and the Bills, so many folks are pointing to that game last year. A lot of our friends on the channel, Broncos win 24-22, right? It was part of the win streak, or maybe it sent them on their win streak, something like that. Broncos were 4-5 coming out of that game. The Bills went to 5-5. It was an upset win. It was on that weird field goal at the end there. Does that matter at all in this game? Because I'm going to be honest, they're 2 different teams, 2 different quarterbacks, lots of different players that have come and gone. Yeah. Really trying not to lean on the fact that the Broncos went into Buffalo and upset them last year, because it doesn't matter this year. I mean, anything can happen in this game. One injury away. I mean, I think about Brock Purdy exiting that game against the Philadelphia Eagles a couple of seasons ago for what? Was that the NFC Championship?
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, that's how fast things change. And look at the spiral that the Niners are in. So enjoy it. I'm with you, Tom. I'm with you, Broncos country. It's important to celebrate their success right now. Now, let's not go plan a parade for them beating the Chiefs 38-0, all right? Or start a petition if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Good Lord, get a life. But I think it's important to recognize where the Broncos have come, and they've stopped the losing culture. You've talked about it all season, Tom. You got to figure out a way to get rid of that bad taste in your mouth of just loss after loss after loss, and to finally have a winning season. Yep. I'll take that. I still have a bad taste in my mouth. Chargers sweeping the Broncos, right? That absolutely drives me crazy. And the Chiefs, they split with the Chiefs, but I do kind of still wonder about that blocked field goal all those weeks ago, Tom. It drives me crazy. Cody Dubbs coming in here, very generous $5. As long as Vance Joseph doesn't go to the same plan he did against the Baltimore Ravens, this should be a good game against the Bills. 10-7, I'm happy. I wanted 9-8 or better. Ooh, Vance Joseph, man. Talk about a true wild card on Wild Card weekend. You don't know what you're going to get from Vance Joseph. There was a time where he refused to blitz. Now it's all he wants to do, Tom. We got to find a healthy balance. Otherwise, Josh can pick you apart. I'm sure you saw, just like I did over at milehighhuddle.com, the New York Jets requested to interview Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. I'm not sure if the interview's already happened. I'm not sure if it'll happen the night before the game, kind of a thing, since they'll be out there in New York. Hard to say, all those sorts of things. What does the future hold for Vance Joseph's defense on Sunday and possibly more?
I think if Vance Joseph can go out there and shut down this pretty dang good Buffalo Bills offense, I think teams are going to look more closely at his candidacy. I mean, it really as a head coach. Now, if the Broncos go out and they just get their defense gets rolled over, that might change things. I mean, he had a good season, not a great season, but if he comes up big in the playoffs, then I think people will think twice about whether or not they should pass up on him.
Yeah, listen, it was one of my big takeaways. I wrote at milehighhuddle.com after the game, and you can catch my takeaways piece immediately after this game as well, and my keys that'll be coming out, keys to victory, this Friday morning. Vance Joseph's second act in Denver, it spelled redemption. I mean, it really has. It's not the way I would have written it, but I will take it. And You and me both, Tom. We're scratch our heads on Vance Joseph. We can't figure this guy out. And I don't know that the league can figure this guy out so far. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for the Denver Broncos right now. And going from week 3 of the 2023 season, where you get a 70 burger put on you, to all of a sudden you're in a wild card playoff game against the Bills. Cornerback Pat Surtain is the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. Nick Benito, right, third leading sack artist, if you will, in the league, if memory serves. I mean, this defense is up and coming. Jonathan Cooper gets an extension. PS2 gets an extension. I mean, things are going well for this defense. I start to wonder with VJ if it would be better for him to stay another season in Denver. Maybe some unfinished business, because anything can happen in this playoff race. But I think Broncos country knows it could be. The odds are against you a little bit to get that Lombardi right now, all right? The odds are against you, and you've got a big test against Buffalo. Tom, this team goes into Buffalo and beats the Bills. That flips the whole script on its head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think he should wait. If he gets an offer, he should take it. I think, he's on one of those kind of, platforms where he's doing really good right now. People are saying, okay, he can get a second shot. But if he goes next year and his defense isn't as good, people start to kind of back off of the Vance Joseph bandwagon. But the thing of it is, too, remember this: if Vance Joseph gets hired as a head coach, the Broncos get 2 third-round draft choices.
Oh, that makes me go, Vance, go. We need we need those draft picks. Look at Chris. I see what you're doing here, Chris. Very generous, $2 over on YouTube. What are the 3 keys to victory Sunday? You're gonna have to stay tuned for those to find out, man. They're in the progress as we speak. I was just telling Tom before we hopped on the air. I'll work on it a little, then I'll go away. I'll study. I'll work on it. Go away. Injury reports matter too. That's something that we all have to take into account. What's the availability of players? What are the tendencies of players? Here's a name that comes to mind right away. I was scrolling through the good old social media last night, up to no good, Tom, as usual, and I saw Amari Cooper not supposed to play on Sunday. What? Personal reasons, not supposed to play on Sunday. Then I look today, Amari Cooper's at practice. Bills fans, yay! And I'm talking to a good buddy of mine who also covers the Broncos in this city, and I'm like, dude, if I'm the Bills defense, one of the first things I think of is Riley Moss. Who's going to cover Amari Cooper, right? I mean, is that going to be Pat Surtain? What do you do with the defensive backs? Because it's hard to judge Riley Moss having a bounce back game, if you will, when it was against the Chiefs B squad, right?
Yeah, I don't want to throw out Riley Moss's season with one bad game after coming back from injury. So, I mean, everybody was singing his praises all year. He gets hurt, comes back, has a bad game, and then they're like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with Riley Moss. I think he'll be okay. He's got another week under his belt trying to get back into the swing of things, still healing up for them from that injury. I say you play him just the way you were going to play him all season long. I would rather see Pat Surtain follow their best receiver a little bit more, but we know that Vance Joseph doesn't do that.
Khalil Shakir or Keon Coleman, perhaps?
Yeah, it would be nice, but they don't do it. He does a little, and then he kind of Vance Joseph doesn't allow it. I remember Champ Bailey was always moving, and I don't know why Vance Joseph doesn't want to do that, but he just doesn't. So I still think Riley Moss will be fine. I mean,
Put yourself in the defensive huddle real quick, Tom, and let's say you're Cody Barton in that defensive huddle against the Cleveland Browns. I'm Pat Surtain. I'm going up to coach saying, Coach, let me cover Jerry Jeudy. I know what he likes to do. I've played against him since high school, college teammates, everything else. If Pat Surtain says, let me have him, you kind of got to let him have him, right? I mean, the best corner in the league. And it's one of these things, man, where maybe this game is different. Maybe that is one of the changes. Pat Surtain finally shadows one of these wideouts. He tried to do it against the Bengals, right, with Jamar Chase a little bit, tried to, and then the Broncos defense, the secondary was getting shredded so bad, all kinds of adjustments were being made. David Yonkins circling back around. Thank you so much, Big David. 63 sacks this season. Would Broncos open up the wallet for Vance Joseph? Interesting, man. You're Sean Payton, right? You're the Broncos brass. You're trying to further your guys, further your gals. You want to get them better positions. I think about what Sean Payton said about Zach Wilson all these moons ago. I want to get him another job. I want him to make money, whether it's here or somewhere else. And I believe Sean. I think he's loyal to his guys. but I also think he wants his guys, especially if they're successful. Do you think the Broncos try to get a deal done to block some of these potential interviews, or at least have other teams thinking twice? What do you do with a Vance Joseph right now? I think you got to let the guy explore his options. It's the right thing to do.
I don't think you can block him from a head coach position because it's a promotion.
Elevation.
So I don't think you can really block them. And I don't think Sean Payton is going to do that. You saw when he was having success with the Saints, a lot of his guys went on and became head coaches at different spots, with relative and with some success, not some success, but they definitely left. The guys that are with him, the old guys like Joe Lombardi and stuff, they're there to stay. But these young guys, I think Sean Payton is okay with them going, getting another job, moving up. But someone like Davis Webb, if they're going to try and take him as an OC, he might say, okay, we'll give him an assistant head coach position or something like that to try and keep him around. But I think he has a plan. I think that's why he knew Vance Joseph. He did a good job, might be leaving as a head coach. He brought in Jim Leonard. I think that's the plan to move on from Vance Joseph. It's this year or the next year. I think he's going to kind of step in. So I think he's planned for it. But no, I don't think he's going to try and block it. I just don't see it.
No, I don't either. And here's the thing, too. And I hear Broncos country excited and curious about Jim Leonard. It's going to take a minute. All right. First-year defensive coordinators usually just don't come out on fire like a D'Amico Ryans, right, as a head coach or even just as a DC calling plays. It's a huge position, a huge promotion. Let's remember what Vance Joseph was like as a first-time defensive coordinator or head coach. Speaking of the Bengals, right? Came up a little bit through the Dolphins, through the Bengals, Cardinals, had to go around a little bit and eventually found his stride. It's about fit in the league, and you've got to have the players. You've got to have the ownership willing to spend for the players. You've got to have the scheme, and you've got to have the right opportunity, and that's why timing truly is everything in this life. So, David, I hear you, man. Would the Broncos open up the wallet? So far, I don't think they've spared any expense when it comes to, I don't know, the fan base's experience on game day, uniforms, promotional videos, volunteering, donations, contract extensions. I mean, it's one of the reasons I've been so happy with the Walton Penner ownership group, and God rest his soul, Mr. Pat Bowlen. He didn't spare any expense either. He expected winning, but there are similarities between these ownership groups, and I know we're only a few years in, so I'm not going to go ahead and say, oh, they're just like the Bolins. No, they're different people. But, man, I really respect the tradition that's been kept with the ownership of spare no expense, let's win games.
I hope that they start to take the same motto that Pat Bowlen did, because we haven't really heard it.
I want to be number one in everything.
It was Super Bowl or bust every season, no matter what. And I didn't get that from the Walter Penner group yet. But now, I think now that they've got the postseason under their belt, they've turned this team around. I think you're going to see a shift to that's the goal from now on. I don't think it really was. I think it was just getting this team right, changing the culture. And now I hope that that's their kind of overarching leadership goal: win the Super Bowl at all costs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear what the message is, right? If they win and you see a post-game locker room speech. I love those, Tom. I don't know if you got to see it or if you like them as much as I do, but let's put my fan hat on for a minute and just enjoy. And when Sean Payton says, like, we never give up. Every time you get knocked down, you get back effing up every time. I mean, that's something that resonates with human beings, I think, because we all struggle. We all have battles, our family members, our jobs, right? Our friends, ourselves, personal problems that are going on. Sometimes it's really tough to drag yourself off of the mat when you've been knocked in the teeth. And the Broncos have been kicked in the teeth for 6-7 years. I mean, coming on a decade, really. Yep. We could count up the 2016 season, the hangover year, if you will. They still want whatever. It truly has been a culture change, and it starts from the top up. So when Sean gave out those game balls, right, to some of the ownership, I'm like, man, there you go, Sean. You did the right thing. And it gets me excited. It gets me hyped, and it makes me I get this familiar feeling when the Broncos are winning games like this. And it's a feeling I really haven't felt in damn near 10 years, Tom.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, and it's it was unexpected, which is even better, right? I mean, for me, so to see that this is, I thought it was going to take longer to kind of turn this around, but it hasn't. So for me, that's even better. It's even one step closer. I thought it was going to be next year where they kind of made a run for the playoffs, got in. But now, I mean, after this, I think they're going to load up and they're going for the championship next year, I think.
Man, the AFC West is hot, Tom. I mean, holy cow. Eric Flynn, man, thank you so much for the Facebook stars. Appreciate the support. Let's go Broncos, huh? I know Eric's excited about the big game on Sunday. Yeah, things are changing here, man. I mean, my daughter's back in school from winter break, right? She's going up to her teacher. She's on like a student council committee, and she's like, what do we got to do to get a Bronco day on Friday? Everybody needs to be wearing orange. I mean, these are things that our kids really haven't grown up with. I'm ashamed to say. Because the Broncos haven't been that good in a long time. So when you get this familiar feeling, people are getting along. It's nice to see not a lot of fights out there at the stadium last week or anything like that. And in a world where people can barely agree on anything, we can all agree we want to see the Broncos whip the Bills' ass this Sunday up in Buffalo. It's going to be hard, folks. It's going to be tough, but we are riding with them. Can't wait to see it. Stay tuned for our official predictions on Friday. Give Scott Kennedy his flowers, right? He's been the pick'em master this year. You get to read all about it on Friday when you see his name sitting atop the list. Ralph, circling back around. Thank you so much for all the support and all the love, Ralph. Really means a lot. I'm so excited for next year, regardless if we win the Super Bowl this year. All my expectations have already been exceeded. Every success above where we are is just more gravy on top. Wow, man, that gets me goosebumps too, because when's the last time Broncos country's been this excited about something? 5-6 game win. I'll challenge that. 5 or 6 game winning streak last year. Remember, we're thinking, playoffs are coming, right? But then we're all kind of looking at Russ like false positive, not so sure. Ralph, you're onto something here, man. And I've got friends and family who are going to the game next week out there. And I'm curious to see how Broncos country represents, because Bills Mafia is out of their minds, Ralph, as you know. How much orange is going to be out there in Buffalo? You know, Broncos country, historically, they've traveled well in years past. Do they finally have a reason to schluck their tails all the way out to Buffalo and freeze on Sunday?
I think there'll be a smattering of orange, but I think it's going to be a Bills crowd, most likely, for sure. I mean, you'll see, like you said, you'll see a couple orange jerseys around there, but the Bills Mafia, they are a dedicated, very, very dedicated fan base. I don't think they're giving up their tickets to those in Broncos country just to see them kind of take over their stadium like the Chargers allow.
No, and I don't really have beef with Bills Mafia, right? Like
No.
they don't do anything that bothers me or upsets me. I'm hope their team loses. Don't get me wrong on Sunday, but if I'm going to be honest, Tom, this might just be the third time ever I'm rooting against Josh Allen. I'm a Josh Allen guy, right? Like I was telling you before the show started, dude. I wear my University of Wyoming hoodie shirt all over the place. Not this week. Not wearing the hoodie this week. No Wyoming, and Frank Crumb's out, so he'll understand, right? But it's just one of these things, man, where it's the magical time of year for the Broncos. And I saw something. I want to give credit to where credit's due. Troy Rank, man. Troy's been very good to me in my years covering the Broncos, and he has a really interesting article up right now. And the headline got me, and then I clicked on it, and it was a great article. He said Broncos quarterback Bo Nix has finally exorcised the demons of John Elway not drafting Bills star Josh Allen. And how refreshing is it now, Tom? I'm not jealous that the Bills have Josh Allen anymore. I'm not saying, oh, Josh Allen's trash. Josh Allen, we never wanted him anyway. No, I always wanted Josh Allen. I've always been heartbroken. He's been the one that's gotten away for so many years. All of a sudden, an even prettier girl walks into the room, and her name's Bo Nix, and then we're dating, and then all of a sudden we're engaged. It's the postseason, and I'm not even thinking about that other girl anymore. How do you feel about Bo Nix, man? Because I thought Troy put that perfectly. The Broncos have exercised some demons. No more Josh Allen. The focus is Bo Nix in this Broncos squad.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is getting a lot of flack about being a check down artist, and people are, that didn't think he was going to make it in the NFL have still are holding on to that ridiculous nonsense, even though they've seen him play 17 freaking games in the NFL. I went back and I looked at all of the quarterbacks, and I wrote an article about it. It's up in Mile High Mile Huddle if you want to go look at it. Looking at quarterbacks in their rookie season that started a majority of the games and took their team to the playoffs, and where he kind of ranks, adjusted for era and everything. And he's in the top 5. There's no doubt. I mean, statistically speaking, he had a top 5 season for those folks, and he wasn't along for the ride, right? I mean, a lot of times they relied on Bo Nix to win these games. It wasn't, I mean, their defense was good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like he was carried by a great running game and an all-star wide receiver. He was a big part of taking this team to the playoffs. So I think it's refreshing. I think it's wonderful to see that this carousel of quarterbacks have stopped. Now he's got to go back out and not have a sophomore slump. Got to go out and get better each year. But at this point, looking at what Bo Nix has put together, you cannot help be excited about him. And if you still think that he's a bad quarterback, you're either sticking to your old, evaluation in the draft, or you just don't know what you're seeing out there on the field.
And that's just it, man. And that's why I love to make fun of people that won't change their mind, right? Or just like sticks in them. I'm just this way because that's the way I am. Dude, I didn't have a great grade on Bo Nix. I don't know if you remember this, Tom. I had Jaden Daniels as my number 1. Yep. I had JJ McCarthy as my number 2. And then Bo Nix was hovering around 3 or 4. I mean, but the second he was drafted, I got on board because I wanted a first-round quarterback. I wanted to see what Sean could do. You brought it up. Sean has never done this with a rookie quarterback before. We didn't know what we were going to see, and we still don't. It's not a finished product. I can't sit here and tell you that Bo Nix is going to have an illustrious 10-year career and he's going to win 2 Super Bowls, or he'll just be a playoff guy that never gets there but still makes it somehow into the Hall. I don't know any of those things. All I know is that Bo Nix is about the work right now. He's not about the sizzle. He's about the steak. And when you make those sort of plans and you have that sort of work ethic, these records come with it. AFC Offensive Player of the Week come with it. I mean, 18 straight completions, setting an NFL rookie last week, second most in touchdown passes, third most in completions of any rookie quarterback in league history. I mean, come on, man. That is something historic that we need to recognize here. It's different. No more carousel. We're done with that. We can talk about who wants to be the backup quarterback till we're blue in the face next summer, right? But we don't need to do that with Bo Nix anymore. So I'm relieved that we don't need to have John Elway killed us by not getting Josh Allen. Perhaps, maybe, we'll never know. Things work out that way. I would really urge people to be careful when going after John, considering all he's done for this Broncos squad. And I hear you, setbacks are setbacks, but it's an exciting time right now. And we are talking Buffalo Bills. We are talking Broncos, Wildcard weekend. He's Thomas Hall. If you'd like to reach out to Tom on X, that's at Thomas Hall NFL. He's got an article coming up on how the Broncos beat the Bills, specifically Josh Allen. Stay tuned. That's going to be over at milehighhuddle.com tonight or on the Bright. And I see Broncos country rocking and rolling. 240 eyes on us. Smash the like, smash the thumb. Let's get these numbers up. And Broncos are going to be in all whites this weekend? Have they announced their uniform colors or whatever? Yeah, that would make sense, right? Being the away team and trying to see what Buffalo is going to do. How you feeling? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Let us know in the comment section because, Tom, I'm excited. I'm not nervous at all. I'm really not. I was scared to death last week against the B squad Kansas City Chiefs because, like I said, could you imagine what this conversation would have been if the B squad Chiefs beat the Broncos? Then we're talking about people getting fired. We're talking about quarterbacks getting run out of town and traded. None of that. The pressure is off the Denver Broncos. All the pressure is on the Buffalo Bills, the same Buffalo Bills team that beat the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And I thought it was funny at the end of last week, and so did my wife and daughter. We're watching the game. I'm getting ready to go write about it at milehighhuddle.com. And the announcers, what was it, Jim Nantz? He goes, yeah, next week it'll be the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos, the only 2 teams that beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year. It's like kind of tongue-in-cheek, right, with the B squad, but this Bills team's no joke. When I say that all the pressure is on the Buffalo Bills, it's because they've been dominant. When you look at how they've played this season, Josh Allen, MVP candidate. We haven't even talked about James Cook, Some guy named James Cook over the 1,000-yard mark. That's pretty nice. Khalil Shakir, an absolute dog. We can talk defense. I like the Bills' offensive line a lot. Always have. Spencer Brown, one of my favorite players. Nick and I still wish the Broncos would have somehow drafted Spencer Brown. Something about converting those former tight ends. Tom, I don't know if you know that. Broncos linemen used to do that. Used to grab some athletic cats and turn them into something, but I don't know, man. This is a tough Bills team, and all the pressures on them to win. Haven't even talked about Dalton Kincaid, about Dawson Knox, some of these tight ends that have historically been the Broncos' kryptonite. It's going to be fireworks. And I got to be honest, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. Not at all. If you can't show up for the playoffs, man, your team doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, and I think that, obviously they did get blown out by the Ravens, but for the most part, they've been pretty solid, even in their losses. The one equalizer is the defense. If the Broncos defense can play like they have been for most of the season, that'll keep the score close. Unless the Broncos on offense are just fumbling it away or, tossing picks, I think it should be a close game. But the Broncos defense has to show up. They didn't show up very well at the Ravens, and they were a little bit suspect against the Bengals. So let's hope that is not something that rears its ugly head again in one of the most important games of the season.
Yeah, and James Cook's a dog, as KB's letting us know, man. Yeah. He's a touchdown scoring machine, and huge shout out to KB, man. Guys, be sure to watch every 6 p.m. Mountain, Friday night, Saturday night. You know when you're going to catch KB, but he's been doing excellent work for us at MileHighHuddle.com. A good friend of mine personally, and of course of the show. Can't wait to have you back on again, KB. Appreciate everything you do for me personally. And James Cook, dude, he's a dog, an absolute dog. He drives me crazy. Khalil Shakir, I'm worried about that guy a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what Pat Surtain does in terms of the coverage. But we talked about Vance Joseph getting a request from the Jets. Another Broncos brass member got a request, and I got to be honest, I completely forgot David Shaw was on the Broncos employment roster. I don't know, in the building, in the house, whatever you want to say. The Chicago Bears and the New Orleans Saints requested to interview Broncos personnel executive David Shaw. You might remember David Shaw once interviewed for the Broncos head coaching job. Former head coach of Stanford, has some pelts on the wall in the college game. He did join the Broncos last summer. Probably one of the reasons why I forgot about him. But look, man, when the Broncos are doing good things, other franchises are trying to capitalize on that. They're trying to poach on that. When was the last time? Well, you had requests from the Denver Broncos, coaching candidates or executives to be a part of something. I mean, it's a compliment to the ownership. It's a compliment to Sean Payton. It's a compliment to this fan base. And I think Mile High Magic is back, baby. What else can I say? I know we don't have another home game, and I know that sucks, but what a way to go out in the regular season finale, man. It was so cool to see all that orange there. And like I said, something feels different when the Broncos are winning games just around the world. And we say here at Mile High Huddle, right? Broncos country is not a geographical location. It truly is a state of being. I love seeing orange all over my timeline. In the UK, I see Broncos for breakfast. I see what Scott and Nick do in the morning. Are you kidding me? We're posting huge numbers in the morning because Broncos country is all over the world watching when we're doing these night shows. I mean, that is something special. People are engaged again, and it means something, Tom.
Yeah, and talking about Mile High Magic, it was interesting. I was looking through X, and I still like to call it Twitter, but someone posted Mile High Magic is back because the bounce of the football, that the lay caught a touchdown. It like bounced to tapped, and then it should have been an interception, and he was happened to be right there. Those are the kind of things that, you look at back in the olden day, back in Mile High Stadium, where things they somehow magically fell right for the Broncos. So I'm hoping you're right. I hope Mile High Magic is back and things bounce their way, and they go on a nice little winning streak here. For me, beating the Bills is just one step closer to facing the Chiefs and beating them in the playoffs. That's what I want. I want to see the Broncos go to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs.
The Broncos have learned how to win football games this season, and they've done it particularly well. That's why they're in the NFL playoffs. Now they need to learn how to win a playoff game. It's a whole nother animal. It's a whole nother breed. The stakes are immediately up and raised, if you will. And I think that's exciting because I think in these big moments, you see whether guys shrink or whether or not they get bigger and the moment's not too big for them. And I'm excited. I think that the Bills could potentially be overlooking the Broncos, if I'm being completely honest. I think that the Bills have their eyes set on the Kansas City Chiefs, as you just mentioned, right? You want to see Broncos Chiefs? I think the Bills want to see Bills Chiefs eventually. That's the dog that they got. That's the dragon that they have to slay. And I don't think they're looking at anybody else, if I'm going to be honest, in the AFC. And that is good news for your Denver Broncos. I think they're too preoccupied with the MVP conversation. I think they're too preoccupied with some of the negatives with the Denver Broncos. What do I mean by that? Well, the Broncos can't run the ball. Haven't had a 100-yard rusher in 33 games. This is going to be a piece of cake. It's going to be cold. We'll endure whatever their rookie quarterback has to deal with, but he's all they got. I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. I think maybe you're starting to catch this Broncos squad at a good time where they're healthy, they're motivated, and they're hungry. And dare I say they're a little pissed off? I mean, it's cool to see the guys on X a little bit this week. And remember when Sean Payton used to have that nobody talks on social media policy? Well, that went out the window. And I'm starting to think that must have just been a Russell Wilson thing because Sean clearly doesn't care if the rest of them are posting stuff. Speaking of Mile High Magic, Tom, I'd be remiss if I did not bring this man's name up. What do you make of Bills outside linebacker, former Super Bowl 50 MVP, Von Miller, and the type of impact that Von could have in this game? In 13 games, he's logged 6 sacks, 13 solo tackles. He did sack Patrick Mahomes in the Bills' 30-21 win against the Chiefs earlier this year. He does have a sack in each of the last 2 games against the Patriots and the Jets. A cool storyline, Broncos facing Von Miller and the Bills. How much of an impact do you think Von Miller makes at his seasoned yet still dangerous age?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I was watching him early in the season, and he was getting, I think he had a sack every game. And as a part-time player, he was coming in as a pass rush specialist. And then he got suspended, and then he had to work his way back into it. Now he's coming back. So he might be coming back at the right time where he's kind of hitting his stride. So he's older. He's, he's had his struggles with injuries and everything. But, man, when he put that Rams team over the top when they made that Super Bowl run. So I wouldn't bet against Von Miller doing something. But at this point, he's still kind of a role player right now. So he might come in, do a little bit of damage, but he's not going to be the wrecking machine that he was in 2015.
Yeah, it's kind of like that 3-point shooter, right? That veteran 3-point shooter that gets brought onto a playoff team when you need him in a pinch to try to hit a 3 because you're behind or you try to get some momentum. You would think that's what these aging pass rushers are. And I pull up the stats, and I got to be honest, I'm surprised, Tom. Von Miller's tied for second with sacks on the Bills right now with AJ Espinoza, defensive end. He's got 6 sacks this year. Greg Rousseau, obviously on Miami, right? He's leading the team with 8 sacks. Ed Oliver's always been a beast too. So I think that's going to be a real intriguing matchup for the Broncos interior line. But I'm looking at a Bills defense that's very disciplined. I don't think that they're a juggernaut that can't be beat, but I think that it's going to be a real test for Sean Payton and Bo Nix. And it was funny. I heard Stink on the radio, Mark Schlereth bumping around the Mile High City today. And he was talking about Sean Payton in the run game and how it just drives him crazy. And Sean Payton and Stink are tight. They're boys. They're like this. But he was talking about how it drives him crazy that Sean has to overcomplicate the run game. He's got, 100 different variations of how he wants to run the ball. Stink's like, man, I'm an old school guy. Let's just line up and go. And I think some of that just line up and go would actually do Sean Payton some good. It's going to be interesting to see what the Broncos do in the offseason. But nobody wants to talk about the offseason right now. We're talking about the Wildcard playoffs.
No.
How do you attack the Bills defense with your running backs, with a running game? Because as much as I love Jaleel McLaughlin, let's keep him on the edge. Dare I say, let's give the ball to the rook, Aja Gestime. Let's start the game with some rookie on rookie crime with a starting wide receiver that's a rookie, a starting quarterback that's a rookie, and a starting running back that's a rookie. I don't know, Tom. What would you do with the running backs?
Well, it's interesting because the article we were discussing earlier, where I was talking about sacks, also talking a little bit about the running game, and you hit the nail on the head. The Bills have been weak when when teams have run at the edge of the left side of the offensive line. they've cut off some, took off some pretty big runs, not huge runs. There's only 3 of them were over 20 yards, but they are well above average, about a yard above the NFL average, and only about 7 teams are worse than them. But what that was the mix, and I don't want to give away my whole article, but the mix it's funny is it was quick back, like speed backs getting to the edge. So Jaleel McLaughlin getting to the edge would be good. They used a lot of kind of wide receivers who can make something happen in space, which really works in Marvin Mims' wheelhouse. Hopefully they can get him on the edge. And then what I think they should do too is attack that with a couple design runs for Bo Nix. And I think they can get their running game if they do that. And then I think on the other hand, you mentioned it, just line up and go, I think would help Javonte Williams tremendously. Just tell him, go right here. Everybody just blocks. They get the big bodies out in front of him, pulling some folks to get him. Don't let him make any decisions. Just say, you run right here, and we're going to open that hole for you. I think that will help Javonte Williams tremendously.
Yeah, Javonte Williams last week. I get it, folks. Chiefs B squad, but didn't it look like he was running with a little something to you? I mean, like, it looked like on that first down that he gained, Javonte was hauling the mail. I mean, I haven't seen Javonte Williams run like that, dare I say, since his last injury, the knee injury. I mean, right when you think you can count Javonte Williams out, man, he flips the scripts on its head. And I don't know what it is with this run game, but I'm right there with you, man. You got to lean on everybody, because not one guy has just said, I got this. I guess you don't want to change that with a playoff game. You want to stay as consistent as you can. But Sean Payton, the play caller, man, Sean Payton, we need a signature play calling game from Sean. And don't point to last week. All right. Last week was the outlier. Everything's great when you're going against a bunch of guys that have never played together. Okay. And good Lord, I'm watching Baldy break down some video, and he's got Quinn Miners absolutely demolishing some poor soul, a cornerback out on the edge. I mean, just brutal. I don't think you're going to see those sorts of things this Sunday against the Bills, right? Against the A squad, if you will. But you need to see it. You need to see this Broncos team impose their will. I think the Bills are going to try to test the Broncos' big uglies real quick, right? In those trenches, you're going to know whether or not it's going to be a dogfight or whether or not the Bills are going to bully the Broncos, I think, within the first quarter. And I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I think the Broncos are going to earn the Bills' respect. And I am in no way, shape, or form ready to give a prediction yet, Tom. I mean, I want to wait till the last possible second. I'm going to have Chad blowing up my phone on Thursday night, on Friday morning, being like, Luke Patterson, I still need a prediction. You're not giving me one. I'm just so excited and grateful to be here, man. It's been such a fun season. And last week, I'm writing my keys to victory out every Friday morning. I wondered, is this my last one of the season? And I'm starting to write keys to victory against the Bills. Same with takeaways last week. No, it's not my last takeaways.
Finally.
We get to play the Bills, right? We're texting together. I'm telling you today, man, I have never covered Broncos playoff football. You're like, I've never podcasted Broncos playoff football. We're doing all sorts of new things here at Mile High Huddle. We are truly in uncharted waters. We've got big plans ahead for the 2025 year, the 2025-2026 season. But this one's not over yet. 2024 and 2025, we roll on, and we are heading into Buffalo. And it's been such a fun season because of Broncos country, man. I mean, I say it all the time. I need this podcast. It's therapeutic. Sorry, Ernie. It's therapeutic. I see you in there taking shots at me, Ernie, but I need this, and I need you guys. And this is just such a special place for us to gather every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain. And I just want to thank Broncos country for rocking with us, because I want to keep going, man. Tom, I know you want to keep going. Scott wants to keep going. Dick, everybody wants to keep going here at milehighhuddle.com. So we need to keep mustering up some magic this Sunday in Buffalo.
Yeah, and you said it. Sean Payton needs to be his like masterful game calling game, right? To get them over the hump. They get past this Bills team. That's what he needs. And I hope they can get the running game going, because that's going to be huge. I want to see those big guards, Powers and Miners, just imposing their will, and the running backs just following right behind them for chunk yardage, man. I want to see real old school, knock their teeth in playoff football.
Well, hey, we know that Sean Payton likes Michael Burton. Right? Maybe we need to, and we tried the fullback dive last week. I was a little pissed that he didn't go back to him, right? Just to give him that fullback dive, punch him in the end zone. Estime got it in. That's all right. It's going to be a battle of the two Seans. Which Sean is going to reign supreme? Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills, or Sean Payton and your Denver Broncos? We're fixing to find out. As Gary Kubiak used to say, I'm super excited for the game. I can't wait for the rest of Broncos coverage this week. Guys, stay tuned. Tomorrow, the boys will be back at it for the Mile High Huddle podcast. Stay tuned to milehighhuddle.com. Tom's got a really interesting article. He's teased it all show, and I can't wait to read it. How do the Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills? Advanced analytics tell the story on a tell from one Josh Allen. And Tom, another fun show, man. Really, really appreciate you. Scott, appreciate you. Broncos country, we rocked. We rolled. Another fun Wildcard Wednesday.
This, like I said, like we were saying, the first time we can talk Broncos playoff football, it's a great feeling. No matter what my prediction was at the start of the year, I don't care. I'm glad that they're here. I would rather be wrong and see them winning. I can't wait to see what this young team does in this new test, because they've passed some of these tests along the way. I want to see what this young team does in the playoffs, because I think that's going to tell you what the next season is going to look like, a lot more than what we kind of saw going throughout the season, in my opinion. If they come out there and they really show what they're made of, I'm going to have high hopes for next year.
He's got high hopes, and we can get going on that song. Listen, nobody's giving the Broncos any chance, and that's what makes them dangerous. They're currently listed as about 8.5-point underdogs. Some sites even have them even higher. But guys, speaking of underdog is the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. Join over 5 million fans who are already playing on Underdog. With their pick'em game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Compete against other players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. Turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog.
With their champs game, you could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats like passing yards, interceptions, touchdowns, and much more. So, for example, will Bo Nix have a higher or lower than 221.5 passing yards next week? Will Nix have higher or lower than 1.5 passing touchdowns? Every dog deserves a second chance, and with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose.
Boom. Guys, download the Underdog app today. Use our code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the Underdog app today. Use our code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Every player, every touchdown, just select higher or lower on Underdog.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or next-step or text next-step to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Boom. Guys, wear your orange. Get out there in the city, wherever you're at. Show your Broncos pride. Tag us if you'd like to. You can reach out to Tom at Thomas Hall NFL. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. If you'd like to reach out to Scott, that's at Scout Kennedy. Give our pod a follow. We need to beef these numbers up. That's at MHI_pod. Stay away from the Blues, the Whites, the Reds this week. If you're going to crush something, crush some buffalo wings, man. Absolutely tear them up. Leave a boneyard pile. Maybe the Broncos are hoping to do the same. Broncos country into Buffalo. Wild card playoff weekend. This is the way.
This is the way.